Hello, I'm very excited to be doing this presentation today as it's on a topic that's very important to me. That topic is the potential for combat sports to help with depression, anxiety, and other related mental health issues. This topic is close to my heart because I practice a combat sport, specifically Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Here I am at a Jiu-Jitsu tournament, about to win it actually, and in the time I've been training, I've definitely felt like this sport has been more helpful with my mental health than any other activities that I've tried. And I started to talk about it with other people around my gym, and a lot of them told me they had similar experiences to mine. And based on those conversations and my own observations, I had some ideas about what might be special about our sport in improving our mental health. For example, it enforces mindfulness. Believe me, if someone's got their arm wrapped around your neck and you stop to worry about your job or your relationships or anything else, you will get an immediate reminder to stay present. It also simulates high-stress situations, so when you get into fight or flight mode over and over, you start to get used to it to where you can still think clearly and work your way out of a bad situation, like someone on your back like that. And that's not all that different from being able to think and problem solve in the middle of an anxiety attack. It's also very common for men and women to train together. And it's a situation where men may have physical power and control over women, but with clear rules and communication about where the lines are and when to stop. It's also a place where men see women with a lot of physical power. It was definitely eye-opening for me when I was brand new and a woman about 50 pounds lighter than me and old enough to be my mother could just grab me and put me in my place like she wasn't even trying. And it's also a place where men maybe fighting and aggressive in front of women, but not in an effort to establish their masculinity or anything like that. In fact, failure is just a mundane part of training, and you're often forced to literally submit to someone else. So with all this in my head, I went looking to see if anyone had ever studied this in a scientific way. And the answer is not really. There has been some research in related areas, for example, looking into some very successful boxing programs for at-risk youth. And one thing they reported is that it provides a supportive group setting where the kids can open up to each other, since the trust you need to train with someone in such an intense way can transfer to emotional trust, and that allows them to build supportive relationships. There's also been work looking at anti-bullying programs, which have shown that beyond just the specific self-defense techniques, the confidence gained through the training also helps the kids to avoid being victimized in the first place. And there have been similar studies about women's self-defense programs, but these have generally focused on programs that simply teach the techniques and then how that knowledge might make women feel safer. They've not really investigated other possible benefits to ongoing participation in a combat sport. So why does all this matter? Well, first of all, stigma is one of the most commonly reported reasons for avoiding mental health treatment. So effective alternatives that don't have the same stigma would obviously be helpful. That stigma is often even stronger in hypermasculine environments such as prisons or the military, and in those cases it would likely be far easier to get people to participate in a program that included boxing or jiu-jitsu than one that was more traditional. Basically, for some men, if they have this idea of therapy in their head, it will be a lot easier to sell them on this. And then finally, I was discussing this topic with a female friend of mine that I've trained jiu-jitsu with, and she helped me to see that combat sports could potentially offer a unique benefit for sexual assault survivors. She shared with me that because of her assault, she was very apprehensive about starting a sport where she was going to have potentially aggressive interactions with men. But now she believes that it's helped her work through a lot of her trauma. Just like what's been found with the women's self-defense courses, she says it's helpful feeling like she has the techniques to protect herself, but there's so much more as well. She's told me about how big an impact it had on her to be partnered up with a huge, scary-looking man who would apply his strength in a controlled manner and then stop as soon as she tapped his arm. And then they'd do it again, and again, and eventually it wasn't so scary anymore. So there's plenty of anecdotal information out there from people's experiences and plenty of related research to build on. We could investigate if the benefits that the at-risk kids saw in building trust in relationships where they were normally used to violence applies to adult survivors of assault as well. We could look at the possibility that adding combat sports to men's group therapy would aid in building up the trust needed to be open with each other. And potentially incorporating combat sports into mental health treatment could reduce the stigma overall. So thank you very much for this opportunity to discuss something that I'm passionate about. Here you can see my references. I hope I piqued your interest or maybe even taught you something new. Either way, thank you again. Have a great day.